and welcome back to Sel's World. This week we are getting into romance recommendations because Valentine's Day is coming up and I wanted to kind of do like a date with a book, and you can kind of decide which recommendations are best for you, but I wanted to break it up into categories of like self-love, platonic love, and relationship love, and give recommendations for each because I think all of us are maybe in a different season of our lives, and I found that all of these books have inspired me in one way or another to love better, more fiercely, more strongly, and more beautifully, and I think they're just really beautiful books, so I'm really excited to share them with you guys. So let's just get into the books. So I'm going to start with the self-love books. I have some of them with me here, physical copies of them. I know, crazy, but like I said, some of these are my favorite books ever. Some of them I don't, so I'll probably just put them on the screen. But starting with self-love, I have 3 recommendations if you're looking to just basically date yourself this Valentine's Day. These are amazing books in my opinion for that. I have, where are we? For self, this is a poetry book mostly, I would say. Very beautiful. Ceremony by Brianna Wiest. Incredible book. This is something you can read like a little bit each day. Every message is just so beautiful. I'm gonna see if I can maybe share one of the ones that I marked, annotated, whatever you want to call it. I'll pick a short one. But I like this book because it's really about being with yourself, I think, and honestly I feel like sometimes we just venture so far away from that, and this is just so beautifully written. I think anyone who wants either a pick-me-up or some support, this book would really do that and just brings you back to being with yourself. Okay, so I really liked this one, apparently. Page 43, I am a temple unto myself. My body is my home. I am my own safe space. Within me is the access point to all that is and will ever be. I greet it not to amend it, but to return home for a moment, to distill myself to my source, to ease the line between where my skin ends and the world begins. And sometimes you just need poetry more than anything else. But anyway, this is a beautiful book if you're planning on dating yourself this Valentine's Day. Highly recommend this. I read this really quickly just because I loved all the messaging. I felt like it wasn't too preachy, which can happen lately with a lot of the poetry I'm reading. This didn't really cross that line. Like, I won't say that this is like the kind of poetry where you would necessarily be looking at similes and metaphors all the time, but it's not preachy. It's just really, really lovely. So I would recommend this. Also, I think this is such a cool, beautiful cover. Oh, and the back says, other people are not here to love us in the exact way we think they should. They're here to set up a healing ceremony at which we learn how to love ourselves. That's nice. I don't know if I've ever read the back. Anyway, so that would be my first recommendation if you are looking to date yourself this Valentine's Day. The next one for self-love is also kind of more poetry-like too. It's definitely similar to that one. I would say it's an even faster read, but it's called Inward by Young Pueblo. Is so good too. I read that, probably should have taken more time with it, but I read that so fast, and great for a book where if you just want to be, at home, or you want to take it with you to a spot to just like date yourself for the day. Beautiful book for that. You could easily flip through that in a day if you wanted to. That one is similar to that one. One of the passages I think I have highlighted, they have the word crossed out. It says find yourself. They cross out find yourself, and then it says free yourself. So it's more along those lines, and it's just a really lovely book in that sense. Really good collection of poetry in my opinion. That's, again, not too preachy. I don't like when poetry gets like preachy. So yeah, that's another one that I would recommend. The third one that I want to recommend is called Calling in the One. It's by Catherine Woodward Thomas. This one's a little bit different in the sense that you look at it, you think it's more for like relationship love and being able to get yourself in a relationship, which definitely obviously is an outcome of that book. That's possible. The reason I'm recommending it for self-love is because it has so many components to it where you kind of are learning how to actually just love yourself, and in a very unique way. Like, honestly, this was nothing like I had ever seen in any other book, any other self-help, self-love book, whatever you want to call it. If you do the steps in this book, incredible. Honestly, these are just, it's kind of funny. For self-love, I would say almost all of the books, yeah, all 3 are nonfiction. And this is, I think, all of the nonfiction except for maybe one that I'm going to recommend. But yeah, Calling in the One, honestly, it just really, really teaches you how to interrupt your patterns and recognize them in ways that I had never experienced before. And honestly, it changed my life. So I think if you're looking to have like a major shift, a major change in your self-love and your like love life with yourself, that is an amazing place to start. And I honestly can't recommend that book enough. I didn't bring it because I did the work, and it's one of those books where you do the work. I mean, you could potentially do it again, but I just felt like I was at a point where I did the work of the book and it was completed. By far, honestly, best self-help books I've ever read. But yeah, if you're looking to really shift how you approach love to yourself, friends, whatever it might be, but honestly towards yourself, this book is disguised and wrapped up as like something where it's going to teach you how to get into a really beautiful, loving relationship, which is definitely something that could happen. But honestly, I think the deeper parts of it, the changes and transformation that can come of doing the work of this book are what make it so beautiful and magical and self-loving. So I would highly recommend that one too. That's the first 3. These are for self-love if you plan to date yourself this Valentine's Day. We have Ceremony by Brianna Wiest, Inward by Young Pueblo, and Calling in the One by Catherine Woodward Thomas. And now let's get into the Platonic love books, ones about friendship that inspire beautiful friendships and loving friendships. Books that have inspired me to really change the way I think about friendship, that have come from like a long time ago all the way to like I am reading it currently. So I have Anamkara, Book of Celtic Wisdom by John O'Donoghue. This is such a magical, beautiful book. You don't even need, like, I don't know what I was doing here. I literally don't know why the tabs come so far out. Crazy tabs that are all different lengths. Anyway, outside of this basically being soul friendship, soul friend, this book is Discover the Celtic Circle of Belonging in Anamkara, Gaelic for soul friend. The ancient teachings, stories, and blessings of Celtic wisdom provide such profound insights on the universal themes of friendship, solitude, love, and death. I will say this is one of the most beautiful books I've read, especially for nonfiction. This is a really beautiful book. You could even put it in the self-love category, honestly, but this is a really beautiful book for platonic friendship, love, I think anyway. Very unique as far as nonfiction goes. But yeah, I will recommend this as far as nonfiction for a very long time. It is very, very good. But yeah, if you really want to have profound insights on friendship, solitude, love, and death, I think this is the book for you. And then as far as newer, as a lot of you know, Throne of Glass is currently my favorite series out of all the books and series I have read. One of the reasons that is because the friendships in that book are so incredible and so inspiring. And I know it's fiction, it's not real, but it just reminds me like you can love your friends this strongly, regardless of like what's happening in their lives. It doesn't have to be as crazy as the book with the adventures that are going on, but you can love each other that beautifully. So that series, 100% Throne of Glass. If you are looking for beautiful friendships in storytelling and to take inspiration from that, that is an amazing series to find that in. I would highly, highly recommend Throne of Glass. And the new one that I'm reading, where I'm seeing lots of really beautiful relationship in a friendship sense, is Six of Crows. So I'm not quite done. We're almost done. We're getting there. But the friendships in this are very unique. I love the banter. I love that you can tell they all love each other so much, and it's shown but not spoken. So I think that is unique in the sense of like you really can say so much without saying it. In terms of friendships too, this is just such a beautiful book of friendships in my opinion. I'm hoping that continues. Obviously I'm not done, so I guess that could change. But so far, if you've come like basically to the last 5th of the book, last 6th of the book, you know the friendships in here are really, really lovely. If you are looking for ways to inspire more beauty and magic in your friendships, more just love in them and how to love stronger, I think Six of Crows, Throne of Glass, and Anamkara are beautiful books to start with, and those are my recommendations if you're looking for or are interested in more platonic love books. Okay, and then lastly are the romance books. So what Valentine's is obviously very clearly known for. These are the books that I feel have really strong love stories, really beautiful love stories, and lots of things you can learn about love and how to make love more magical. But honestly, something that these books have taught me, even though they are fictional, is how to really raise your standards and just not settle. I know that these characters are fake and that these things that they do don't necessarily happen in real life, but it has shown me that the bar should not be here and that you deserve to have the bar up here. So these books are really good for doing that, and they're just beautiful and magical, and they show you that love is so much more than I think we let it be sometimes. So I really do love these books for that. I am going to start with the romantasy, I should say, book recommendations, and that would be Akatar, and specifically book 2, and then also One Dark Window, the duology. So I think those are both really lovely, and specifically with that one, book 2 actually as well. My favorite part of One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns is probably Elm and the way he loves. I think that's incredibly beautiful. And then in Akatar, I don't want to ruin anything for anyone reading it, but there is one relationship in particular that is incredibly lovely and probably changed my perception of romantic love forever now. And I know anyone who's read that would probably know which one I'm talking about. There's lots of beautiful romantic relationships in the books themselves, but yeah, that one is kind of turned on a light bulb for me. It was like, oh, I am thinking of love in such a small way, and this is showing me that I can think about it in a much bigger way. So I would say yes, and I do have them, I just am not willing to take them out of here. Those are 2 beautiful romantasy series that are great for if you want to get into like the romantic love of Valentine's Day and have like a literal date with a book. And then I have a couple other series. These are romance series though, so I would say Chestnut Springs and then Dreamland Billionaires. Take everything that I'm suggesting with a grain of salt. Is that the same? I have not read that much, so I don't have a ton to go off of, but I loved these books. So for Chestnut Springs, I would say Heartless is my favorite. And what's nice about these series too is you don't, like, it's nice to read them all in order because you get other information that you wouldn't get otherwise, but you don't have to. You could just read like book 2, which is Heartless and Chestnut Springs, and not read all of the other ones, but book 2 is my favorite. The love story that is told in that book is just so nice. I fell in love with the characters, Willa especially, and the way she loves. And then also in Dreamland Billionaires, it's the 3rd book, I believe, which is called Final Offer. And sorry, so this is Chestnut Springs by Elsie Silver, and I should just say all of them, honestly. I don't know why I'm not saying any of the authors. So Akatar, we have Sarah J. Maas. One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns is Rachel Gillig. And then Chestnut Springs series is Elsie Silver. And Dreamland Billionaires is Lauren Asher. 3rd one is by far my favorite, and what is so funny about me liking the 3rd book in Dreamland Billionaires and the 2nd book in Chestnut Springs is they have 2 of my least favorite tropes, but that is how well they are written. One is single parent, one is the pregnancy trope. I don't like those, but these 2 books are written so well that like I fell in love with them almost. It's like, maybe I would like this. Probably not. These books are just written and their love stories are just that beautiful. So those 2 series and those books in particular. And then we have my last 2 recommendations. So these are more of like your typical romance, and I mean like very typical, not more of like more recently written books. We have the literal classic, which I have this. I mentioned in a previous video, I kept this one because it's like this is like the only special edition of anything I own. It's not like crazy special by any means, but I do love it, and this feels so good when I hold it. I love this book. Anyway, first time I read this, not for me. Second time I read this was after I watched the movie, one with what is her name? Keira Knightley. After I watched that, I was like, maybe I should try it again. I read this again, and the amount of wit and humor that matches like the way I see humor and the way I enjoy like funny moments, this is just so good. And the love story is beautiful too, especially if you do watch the movie. I think it really helped bring this book to life for me in a way it hadn't before. Also helped me catch so many things that I wasn't catching when I first read it. And now this book is just, a really lovely love story, and it's honestly funny, which I didn't catch the first time. So I think that's what I really enjoyed about it, is like, this is a classic, but it's funny, and their love is just, I found this book very entertaining once I actually read it the second time. But yes, a classic romance for a classic Valentine's Day list. But this one, and then the other book that I would recommend that is more along the lines of like your typical romance is called The Choice. It's by Nicholas Sparks. I didn't know it was a book. I actually saw the movie first, and it is probably my favorite movie, and do not judge me. I know that's not a good movie. I don't watch movies based on whether or not they're good, if I'm being honest. I just love that movie. I love their love story, and I love the characters, and I think you would too. The book is adorable, and it's just a very, very typical love story, so be prepared for that. But those are my Date with a Book romance recommendations. These are the love ones, and I hope one of these suits your needs this Valentine's Day and that you are finding what you're after. Side note, you're looking for Smut, Chestnut Springs, and Dreamland Billionaires. Simple. I'd say Akatar too, but the first book not so much. So maybe you would want to listen to the first book on audio. But yes, if you are looking for Smut this Valentine's Day, I would definitely say that you'd be best served with the Dreamland Billionaires series and the Chestnut Springs series. Both very good for that. But if you're just looking for love in various different forms, I wanted to recommend a plethora of options so that you can kind of decide what you need at this time. Maybe you want a little bit of everything. I kind of feel that way right now, so I'm going to probably be reading a little bit of everything. Actually, I'm probably going to end up slowly reading House of Shadow and Flame because it comes out on January 30th, and I'm sure I'll start it on January 30th, but those books are huge, and I just have a feeling unless it's like much faster paced than House of Sky and Breath, I'm probably going to be reading it for quite a while. Just how it is with me. But yeah, I'm very excited for that. So if you are looking for a new release, and I mean, I don't know that there will be how much smut there will be. I have not read it, but if you're caught up, there's tons of friendship love. I think there's a little bit of self-love and tons of romantic love in that particular series. I am looking forward to and hoping there is more to Rune's love story. Like I said, I am very, very excited for Valentine's Day. I do know now that I love love, and a lot of these books have really taught me and shown me to love bigger, and I think they could do that for you too, and that I think is something that is very magical about books. So if you have read any of these books, please let me know in the comments. If you have recommendations, I'd love to hear them. I'd love to grow my list, whether it's stories about self-love, friendship love, or romantic love. I would love to hear your recommendations. I hope you have a beautiful reading season and can really get into the Valentine season and enjoy love beyond maybe just romance this year. But if you are looking for romance, I hope it's big and beautiful and magical for you too. And I'll talk to you guys next week.